Last year, we all saw Joe Burrow erupt and take the college football world by storm. Going into the season, he was not expected to be anything special, but we knew he had some potential. Kyle Trask was in the same exact boat in my opinion, and we all know he was good, but I don't think many people saw him as an elite guy who could ever win the Heisman. Well, Trask has blown up so far in 2020, and it looks like he could very well win the Heisman Trophy. He looks like a future superstar and may very well be the next Joe Burrow, and today we'll talk about why.
What is going on, everybody? I am back on Scott's channel. If you love college football, consider subscribing right here by liking, sharing, giving your support, and give Scott a future idea for a video that you would like to see come to life. What's going on, everybody? I'm Cole Adams. Scott and I have a great video plan for you guys. So I'm going to start off with the background information about Kyle Trask. Before we talk about why he is the next Joe Burrow, a legend of college football, let's get to know Kyle Trask a bit and how really all of this has happened. It's kind of crazy. He's really taken over college football, but yet at the same time, he's not getting the same respect that Joe Burrow got. So let's jump back to his high school career because it's very interesting. In case you didn't know this, Kyle Trask was born and raised in Texas, a hotbed for college football. Now, I recently found out that he was the backup quarterback at his high school to current Miami quarterback D'Eriq King, and he did not get a ton of high major interest when he was there. I thought that was completely fascinating. How can so much talent be at one high school? Now, he threw the ball for Florida and they offered him, and he took the offer, but he was really never supposed to play. Now, in his time as the quarterback at Florida, he's had to deal with injuries, he had to be a backup quarterback for 2 years, but he got his chance last year. And against Kentucky, Felipe Franks got injured, and Kyle Trask had to come on in and was forced to step up for the Gators. He ran for a touchdown and helped them secure a victory, which was huge. This was a big momentum swing for this team that just lost their star quarterback. He would start the remainder of the season and looked really good at times. His best game came against South Carolina, where he threw for only 200 yards but a career-high 4 touchdowns. He led them to a Belk-Bowl victory over Virginia and finished the year with 2,941 yards and 25 touchdowns with only 7 picks and a 67% completion percentage. Going into 2020, expectations were going to be high for both Florida and Trask, but no one thought he was going to torch the world, and that's exactly what he has done. Everyone assumed that the Heisman was going to go to Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Travis Etienne. There was no way that a guy like Kyle Trask could win. But they also said the same thing in 2019 when many picked it to be Tua over Trevor, and there have been plenty of cases where guys were overlooked as a Heisman contender but ended up winning it. So the experts usually don't know what they're talking about all the time, and things change very quickly, and that's why it's kind of fun to watch college football. And this year, Kyle Trask immediately put the world on notice in his first matchup versus Ole Miss. He threw for 416 yards and 6 touchdowns. He shattered Florida's records and established a connection with young star tight end Kyle Pitts. Now, some thought this might be a one-game fluke. No, he threw for 268 yards and 4 more touchdowns against South Carolina, and all of a sudden, people started to hint at Kyle Trask maybe being a Heisman contender. Now, he did have a little bit of a slip-up. The Gators played at Texas A&M, but he did play pretty well, having 312 yards passing and 4 touchdowns against the Aggies. But they lost the game, and the loss didn't look good, but he was still going to overcome this. And even in a COVID season where that screwed everything up for the Gators, and they were hit with an outbreak, his team still pushed through, and he even persevered, and he beat Missouri and had 345 yards passing and 4 touchdown passes, and he picked apart their secondary. And the big issue for Florida is they're never able to beat Georgia, it seems like, as of recently. And Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts had a connection that was on full display, and he picked apart Kirby Smart's secondary, having 474 yards passing and 4 touchdowns and a double-digit win. This was huge. Kyle Trask is on his way to a Heisman season, and their next game was against Arkansas, where they got to play against Felipe Franks again and welcomed him back to the Swamp. And Trask lit him up, throwing for 356 yards and 6 touchdowns. Kyle Trask, my friends, is a legitimate Heisman contender.
Joe Burrow set an FBS record with 60 touchdown passes last year, and this was an incredible accomplishment, and it took 15 games for him to do so. But is Trask close to this pace? Well, the way that Trask is going, 60 touchdowns could be very much possible for him, even with the COVID-19 shortening schedules. In terms of numbers, Trask may actually be the next Burrow, but not mechanically. After throwing for 6 touchdowns the second time in the season against Arkansas, he has 28 touchdowns in 6 games so far. If he continues his pace of 4.67 touchdowns per game, he would throw 56 if the Gators play all 10 other regular season games, go to the SEC championship game, and play in a bowl. If he carried it through 1 or 2 college football playoff games, the record would honestly be in sight for him. And I think if this pace continues, it'll happen, but Florida's got to get to the playoff. Only 4 FBS quarterbacks have thrown for more than 50 touchdowns in a season. Trask has 5 of his 6 touchdowns against Arkansas in the first half, and his 28 touchdowns so far is the most through 6 games in SEC history. The fifth-year senior will go on the road this weekend to face Vanderbilt, and this is a defense that's not very good, and they've allowed opponents to throw for 15 touchdowns, which is the 3rd most in the SEC, and quarterbacks typically complete about 72% of their passes. So honestly, I think Trask can get this done, but mechanically, I don't think he is the next Joe Burrow, and here's why. Trask isn't the same level of playmaker or as accurate as Burrow was. The bar that Burrow set is unprecedented and may not ever happen again. Trask has still taken a major leap from a decent starter in a good system to a Heisman Trophy contender and a likely Day 2 NFL draft pick. Before, one-year breakouts weren't typically accepted as a big thing in the NFL draft, but because of Burrow, it's become more widely accepted, and a guy like Trask can seriously climb from a Day 3 to a Day 2 or even Day 1 draft pick because of this. So the real question is, can Kyle Trask crack the first round of the 2021 NFL draft in a quarterback class that's insanely deep? Right now you got Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and more recently Zach Wilson, and guys like Brock Purdy and Mac Jones are starting to get up there. After a scout broke down every pass from Trask's senior season so far, he said Trask needed this kind of performance. His raw numbers are great, but looking at his overall accuracy and situational play, he's only an average prospect compared to similar data this dude has charted for over 90 prospects since 2012. Basically, this translates to the system, the surrounding cast, and the play calling have helped Trask more than anything else. The numbers often reflect the film, he said. Trask is a high-level executor, but deals with significant physical limitations as a passer. His arm is below average for a quality NFL prospect, unfortunately. The scouts of the Kirk Cousins comparison immediately springs to his mind when he watches Trask's pass fall flail, and he's not really that perfect with his mechanics. Taking out throwaways, Trask has been accurate on 69% of his passing attempts and has only dealt with 11 drops by his receivers this year. Some of his passes have been inaccurate and caught still, but those are pretty uncommon. When the scout compared his peers from the last 8 draft classes, he said Trask ranks pretty similar to Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh Rosen, and Blake Bortles. Though he's not an insane precision passer that consistently hits guys in stride like Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Burrow did, he's not exactly missing targets like Mitchell Trubisky has been. The scout also said his deep passing accuracy of 64% is absurdly good and not representative of his ability to lead receivers downfield. He's often throwing to a spot, and this causes his receivers to slow down or stop, and in the NFL it doesn't consistently work. His core strength and consistency driving throws must improve for his upside to rise into the first round, he said. He also points out there's a lot of issues on broken plays or when he's under pressure. He tends to swing his back leg forward to help quicken his release time, and this cost him accuracy and power. It's not uncommon for fringe arm draft prospects like him to do this though. He compares that to Jake Fromm, who was a regular offender of this, and he was in last year's class, although Fromm was a much lesser prospect than Trask. So the consensus is that Kyle Trask is good, and that he could easily break the record, and it looks like on paper he is the next Joe Burrow potentially. But he's in a great system and has a lot of flaws that will probably hold him back from being the number 1 overall pick or even a first round pick in general. He's definitely a good college football quarterback and will likely get a chance in the NFL at the next level, but scouts just don't see him as the same type of player as Burrow, and besides the fact that he's putting up these numbers, he's just an average quarterback prospect. Trask could 100% change this in the next few weeks, and I really do think he could potentially get 60 touchdowns on the year if everything goes well, games don't get canceled, and he really has that killer instinct. But in terms of NFL potential and just the way that Joe Burrow handled himself on the field, I don't think Kyle Trask is the next Joe Burrow, but the numbers are definitely very similar. But what do you guys think? If you're an LSU fan or a Florida fan, let me know what you think down in the comment section. And if you're just a general college football fan, let me know down in the comment section what you think of Kyle Trask and who will win the Heisman Trophy this year. Mac Jones has looked really good, Trevor Lawrence could come back, and Justin Fields could also come back in the race as well. So if you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button and let me know another topic like this I could do next. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe, and I appreciate Cole coming on today to help out with this one. If you're still here, check out all my other videos about 2020 college football stars, and until next time, peace.